All right, are we good to go, Jake?
Good to go, Dom.
Good to go, okay.
We've only got this chance. They're now buying out farmers. This government, this is a planned attack on our country.
Tell the truth for the whole world. Thank you so much, my darling. Thank you.
You know how to shake the system up, and it's got to...
I mean, I would say the system's very shaken up. London, a city full of creative people and diverse perspectives. Our time here has been spent discovering what people think about free speech. Today we head down to Trafalgar Square to find out why do people protest, and is free speech really free?
Come on, arrest me. I want to be in court. I want Chris Whitty in court.
Can I ask you something? Are they legally allowed to arrest you? Would you be willing to tell us why you're protesting? We won't hold you up, we'll walk with you.
That's fine, yeah.
Another thing I'd like to say.
I just, like, you can do Instagram or anything like that, just don't block the roads. It is simple, lady.
We're down here in Piccadilly Circus in London. It is pouring down with rain, and we have a massive group of Brazilians who are protesting the recent election. They say the election was stolen. They're saying that their government is corrupt, that they've elected a criminal, and they're calling for a federal intervention in Brazil.
It's about a democracy, a real democracy in Brazil. That's why Brazilian people want a federal intervention in Brazil.
Meet Geza Tiriani, an infamous London local who has been arrested over 16 times for protesting the local COVID measures. As I was wrapping up my talk with Geza Tiriani, a group of Just Stop Oil protesters walked by, same street, same time, and a similar escort of police officers. But what is it about his message that resonates with his thousands of followers online?
Just Stop Oil have been on the street now every day, all the way through October, closing down London, for sometimes as little as 4 people. So I thought today, the last day they're doing it, I'll do it. Right?
So they've allowed climate change activists to walk on the street?
Yeah, Just Stop Oil, led by Sean. I've even said to them, he's the leader. He's clearly the leader.
I'm Sean, so I'm 25 years of age. I'm protesting with Just Stop Oil because we're demanding that the British government take action on the cost of living, energy and climate crisis. They're spending 32 times more on fossil fuels. This is money that could be spent in renewables. This is money that could be spent in home insulation, stopping people from freezing in their homes. The cost of living crisis is getting out of control. We need to start insulating homes, not billionaires' pockets.
Who are you?
Yes, we've got a green light, yes.
Now, they've been allowed to close down London for the whole of October, right? In one of the marches, I saw... who else his name now? Roger Hallam. And I chased him into a toilet trying to question him, saying, what's this about climate change? When you're talking about the IPCC report about climate change, you fail to mention Agenda 21 by the United Nations, that they need climate change to close down the economies of the Western world. Zero carbon. Plants live on carbon. Sweden have now stopped the green agenda because that's what it's about. It is an agenda.
Are you not worried that the cost of living crisis has been caused because of renewable energy and people's lack of fossil fuel?
Opposite. So, one, the cost of energy hasn't gone up in terms of the price of the barrel. What's gone up is the quantitative value due to like the war in Ukraine and other things like that.
The cost of oil was already well up before the war in Ukraine.
Yes, it was. So it's been going up kind of sporadically since, because I used to work in green energy. You have to forgive me because I'm also leading a march and my brain's a bit gone.
Have they arrested you for protesting before?
16 times and they will not face me in court. Tomorrow, I face Sajid Javid in front of a jury when I went to his house because he threatened to send teams of people at the end of last year to the homes of the unvaccinated, armed cabs. That is terrorism, and I stopped it. Because I stopped terrorism. Good British people stop terrorism.
England is saying it wants to be independent of the EU. It voted for Brexit. Terrible idea, but there you go, it wants to be independent.
Why do you think it was a bad idea?
Independence is not buying your fossil fuels from foreign countries. It's investing in green, renewable British energy, wind, tidal, solar, so that we can actually have an independent energy system.
Would that not take too long to put a great effect on and reduce the cost of living crisis over the next 2 years?
It takes 20 years from licence to consent to drilling with fossil fuels. It takes.
But they're already in place, right?
No, they're not. That's what a license is the right for a company to look for oil. A consent is the right, if they find it, to dig it. We are asking for an end to licenses and consents. Use the oil we have. We have 8 years of reserves. We're not saying turn off all the oil now. That would be a nightmare.
What does Agenda 21 and 30 mean to you?
Agenda 21 means depopulation, means starving us, means getting us out of our cars, means bringing everybody into the cities, rewilding 2/3 of this country. Check it yourself, Agenda 21 and 30.
It took 6 weeks to build the largest wind farm in the UK. It's taking 20 years from licence to consent. Which do you think will help with the energy crisis? Which will help with the cost of living crisis? Which will help with the climate crisis? And it will not be 20 years waiting for licences and consents. And I'm going to have to start concentrating on...
Isn't this causing more pollution, getting standstill traffic?
You're blocking the road for no reason,
You're
mate.
wrong as well, think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Are you worried they're going to arrest you again today?
I don't worry about anything. I want the truth in court. Truth is its own fortress. That's why they won't have me in court.
How do you think people can get heard if they don't cause a bit of a ruckus?
If you take a more calm approach instead of blocking up roads, causing more traffic, because this was all flowing nice and earlier it was all nice flowing and everything, and now it's just all traffic. Like,
How do you keep going? Are you not exhausted?
No. No, because our children, we've only got this chance. They're now buying out farmers. This government, this is a planned attack on our country, right? And I know that. First of all, they wanted to poison our water supplies by fracking 2/3 of this country. I stopped that. Now what they wanted to do was close down the country and economy. We stopped that, right? Only a handful of people. But when we were on the streets with our millions, we didn't do a good enough job. We should have come down to Parliament and closed down Parliament to force the truth, to arrest the criminals and not the victims.
They pay road user charges, they pay tax, they buy the roads, but they're not allowed to protest on them. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, because they're not in their car.
There's an independent investigation going into the COVID response here in London and here across England and Great Britain. Do you think that that's going to have the desired outcome that you're looking for?
Only if we, as a country, stand up now.
What about people that protested against vaccines? Do you think they should be allowed to protest?
No. Only if it's certain things that actually matter.
This country owes the Conservative backbenchers because they got rid of Boris Johnson, the biggest crook in the country, the biggest liar in the country. They got rid of him. And now what they're doing is they're exposing the people that have died and suffered.
Hey, the old man, yeah. I saw him get dragged.
Yeah. They're putting themselves in danger for no reason.
I have seen people from all over the world, right, at the protest pen that's across from Downing Street. It's called the official protest pen. And it's supposed to be do a bit of protest and go home. Well, I've been there for 103 days.
If they actually want to get their word out, go to the Parliament. Go to the Parliament.
But what about if Parliament doesn't listen? If Parliament doesn't listen, how are people meant to get heard?
Yeah. Why is Jason here?
Thank you.
Yeah.
There are some good people on both sides of the house. The backbenchers now need to dispose of and get rid of the front benches because they are complicit.
Do you think your parents would like the cost of living to be cheaper?
Yeah, but that's the government's fault. Like they just.
But the people are protesting the government.
All right.
Oh, hello.
Okay, nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
But she wanted to say something.
How about you guys have a wee debate together?
I'll just try to say one thing. We're going to the Brazilian embassy. The Brazilians are chopping down their forests and ruining their rainforests, and we're trying to emphasize that, along with a lot of Brazilian people as well.
So we've been interviewing farmers in the Netherlands. The farmers in the Netherlands are being forced by the government to close their farms to plant pine trees. Meanwhile, Brazil is picking up the slack in the gap in farming by cutting down the rainforest. Do you think the Netherlands farmers should be left alone?
Well, we need more trees, but it's which trees where? I mean, they're planting the wrong trees in the wrong places in many parts of the world. And where we've got a native ancient forest, you can't replace that. I mean, it'll take hundreds of years before.
So should the Netherlands give up some of them climate targets and let other countries pick up the slack?
Well, they shouldn't give up the climate targets, of course not. No.
But then what are they meant to do? So you do think that they should plant out their farms and then other countries will have to pick up that slack?
Well, I think they're looking at net zero. Well, net is a kind of a trick. They need to have 0-0. We need no new oil and gas and fossil fuels. Net zero it's a way of carrying on polluting for the industries and saying, okay, we've planted a lot of trees and so we can just carry on as normal. Well, actually, the science behind that is pretty vague. And the planting trees does help, but it's not going to cover up the centuries of pollution that has happened in this country and, well, all around the world. And Just Stop Oil is saying not immediately stop all oil. That would be fairly much impossible.
So are you pro-nuclear then, being the cleanest, greenest energy?
Not really, because nuclear's got a lot of problems with its highly dangerous. But in addition to that, it takes a very long time to set up a nuclear power station. We can put wind turbines up, in a week or two. I mean, the easy ones. And so it's the most expensive kind of energy there is nuclear.
But nuclear, for your entire lifetime worth of energy, uses only about a golf ball of uranium.
Yeah, but where do they get that? They have to dig it out of South Africa, endangering their health. It has to be transported all the way here by ship. They're not counting all that pollution.
It's the same with the lithium batteries, though, but everyone wants green energy. They want electric energy, but it's exactly the same with electric cars.
Yeah, but there is a problem with lithium, I agree. But there's a lot of research now going on about alternatives to lithium. So eventually I think we'll be able to do something else.
I think that's the problem, though. It's eventually, isn't it? Whereas the cost of living crisis is right now. So what can actually be done right now to help the cost of living crisis?
Well, we got into this partly because we're tied up with fossil fuels. It's not the only reason, but it's part of it. Had we got off fossil fuels as was being advocated 50 years ago, by now there wouldn't have been a problem. I mean, there's always ups and downs in the economy, but that part of it wouldn't be a problem. And it is outrageous, the billionaires in the world. Why have we got billionaires, multi-billionaires, and many of them are from oil companies.
But they also create a lot of jobs.
Well, yeah, but you can create loads of jobs in the environment. Those jobs can be replaced by environmental jobs.
But people aren't doing that because it's not profitable, there's no money to be made. So how would governments go about creating these environmental jobs when you've got industries that create billions and billions of dollars and contribute to the economy?
Well, it is difficult, of course. It will take a long time. The thing is, they're not even trying. I mean, some are, but some are not even trying. And the ones that are considered a bit mad. And it's just business as usual. We've really got to change. We can't just keep doing exactly what we're doing because it's profitable, because it's what we've always done, because it's easy, because we don't want to lose jobs. We've got to shake the system up, and it's got to...
I mean, I would say the system's very shaken up, and that's why we've got such a high energy prices at the moment. I mean, I know in New Zealand we've just shut our one oil refinery. Australia's shut 6 of their oil refineries. So if we're shutting refineries around the world, but we don't have practical solutions already in place to fill that gap, the energy crisis is going to get worse, and that's going to cost lives, particularly in low socio-economic countries. So that's my problem with renewable. I'm like, it's not in place yet. So all that it's doing is costing lives right now.
Well, one of the problems is we're wasting energy. I mean, we think we have to have more and more and more energy. But in fact, we should be thinking how we can use less. I mean, the obvious one, insulating buildings. We're just wasting it off the roofs. Another is, too much lighting, too much unnecessary travel in expensive ways. There are a lot of ways we could cut back significantly on the amount of energy that we're actually using today.
That's definitely true in first world countries, but in third world countries, families will starve to death if the cost of living crisis gets worse. They do not have the income. They don't use up much energy, but the price of fuel for them to even try and farm their land is getting impossible for them to turn any profit. So I would argue that the cost of living crisis is so much worse for people from low socioeconomic countries, and the green energy doesn't actually take into account people that are truly struggling right now.
Well, you're right. There are people all over the world that are struggling far more than they are here. But you've got farmers who can't grow their crops anymore because of climate change. Well, what's causing climate change? Oil, gas, and coal. The desperate situation with famine. A lot of that's because they can't grow their crops, they can't raise their animals.
But the climate change goals are making that worse. The climate change goals are creating more of a problem. In New Zealand, our prime farmland's getting turned into pine tree acreage that's being sold to international forestry companies. So that's happening in New Zealand, and it's destroying our farming. In the Netherlands, 600 farms are going to be taken over by the government in the next year, and that's forcibly taken from the farmers. Who fills that gap? That's just creating a larger food source problem, and that's going to directly impact on low socioeconomic groups.
Well, I think that's the wrong way to go about it. Your government is obviously not really thinking this through long term. They're just getting what they think is a quick solution. You should take the environment as a whole into account, not just the energy costs.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much for talking with us. You did great. Thank you.
Later on in the evening, we drove past a large group protesting in the rain. We jumped out of the cab to find out what had driven this group to stand united during a downpour.
My name is Juliana Lima.
My name is Jacqueline. I'm from Brazil.
All Brazilian community in England, in London, stand for a federal intervention in Brazil. They fighting against corruption in Brazil. They fighting for a freedom in Brazil. Nobody in Brazil is happy about the election in Brazil. Nobody accept a criminal for representing a Brazil.
14 years, this ex-president in Brazil, very corruption. No money education, no money good heart, no money children.
Who do you think helped to steal the election? Who do you think is behind it?
Corruption, to be honest. corruption. Yeah, fraud, corruption. Brazilians have no voice at the moment, you know. That's why Brazilians stand for human rights, you know. Brazilians stand for a family.
Who do you want to help? Who do you think can come in? Do you think it needs to be the military that will come in?
Yes, all help is welcome at the moment. That's what Brazilian people will stand for a revolution in Brazil.
Very, very long time the corruption in Brazil no aceito. No acceptance. No acceptance. I'm from Brazil. No accept the corruption.
I never see in the whole world, you know, a country stand for one president, you know, and they try to tell us he's not winning election. He's not. He's not. All of us sees all Brazilians in a yellow and green T-shirt supporting, you know, a family, supporting, you know, a democracy, supporting our values, you know, supporting freedom, you know, and they try to tell us, you know, he's lost election. No,
I love you, my patria. I love you, my country. I love you, my country. No, accept intervention federal. Yeah.
If you don't get a federal intervention, what do you think is going to happen in Brazil?
Brazilians still stand every single day. Tomorrow, it's a one more day for us fighting in front of Brazilian embassy. Tomorrow, again and again and again and again. Brazilians never stops to fight. All of us is still fighting for a freedom, for the real democracy.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we wish Brazil all the best. And we hope you can get back to a democratic state like you're meant to be.
Thank you for you helping us, for tell the truth for the whole world. Thank you so much, my darling. Thank you.
So, who would you have stopped from protesting today? Does your right to be offended trump their right to be heard? Democracy and free speech work hand in hand. The real question is, do you care enough about one to protect the other?
What's this going on? Is this going on the news?
Operation People. So we're on YouTube and we've got a website, operationpeople.com. Media, so that's all right.
I thought I was live on the news for a
I want
sec.
to be live on the news.
I know you want to be live on the news.
Can this go on TikTok?
Go for it.
I don't know.
See you later, guys. Thanks a lot. It's a pity our own, you're New Zealand, it's a pity our own government don't videos. Don't get the truth down.
So sweet. Gosh, what a character. He does well to be able to yell that loud for so long. Like, that's intense. Good on him. Should we go and interview the oil people while we're here?
I work by myself, so then there is no, conspiracy with other people. I put my life on the line, I put my freedom on the line to protect my country.